If you caught our last deep dive on the 7 types of debt the Bible warns against, you might be sitting there right now feeling, I don't know, a little exposed.
Hmm.
You're probably thinking, okay, great, I have 3 of those, maybe 4, and you just feel the weight of it.
It's that terrifying moment of diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
You see the problem, but you haven't been given the cure yet. And that feeling of paralysis, that's where most people just stop.
Exactly. But here is the promise we're making right now. Today is not about the warning. Today is the exit strategy. We are unpacking the solution.
This is the biblical debt elimination formula. And the goal here isn't to manage debt. It's to completely eliminate it.
And this is so important. It works whether you have $5,000 or, $100,000 in debt. The principles are the same.
The destination is total freedom.
So let's get into it. But before the how-to, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Why do we stay in debt? Because, I look around and everyone has a car payment.
It's normal.
It just feels normal. Isn't debt just a tool we use to live in the modern world?
It absolutely feels normal. But we have to separate what's
Itself.
normalized from what's actually good for us. Society, it treats debt like a tool. But if we look at the source material, specifically Proverbs 22.7, the definition is, well, it's pretty stark.
What does it say?
It says, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender.
Wow, slave to the lender. That's aggressive language for what most people just call a monthly payment.
It is aggressive, but it's accurate. Think about it. When you have a payment, you don't really own your future. Somebody else has a claim on your work before you even get out of bed.
So if you see it as a tool, you just try to manage it.
Right, you shuffle it around. But if you see it as slavery, as bondage, you don't manage it. You try to break the chains. Precisely. And that's our North Star for this whole deep dive, Romans 13.8. Let no debt remain outstanding.
Except the continuing debt to love one another.
Exactly. So God's design isn't a manageable debt-to-income ratio. His design is 0.
0. That sounds impossible to some people, I'm sure. But before we get into the math, we have to touch on the spiritual dimension. One of our sources, Abundance Awakening, brought up. It wasn't just about dollars and cents.
No, and this is where we have to look past the ledger. The source suggests financial struggles can have spiritual roots, or that God might be trying to warn you through dreams.
Yeah, this was really fascinating. It mentioned specific dreams, like dreaming you lost your wallet or that you're handling dirty money.
It sounds a little abstract, doesn't it? But think about the symbolism. A lost wallet isn't just about cash. It's about identity, authority, dirty money.
Yeah.
It suggests your resources are tainted somehow.
So these are like spiritual alarms, a warning that something's wrong.
A prompt to take action.
Okay, so let's get to that action. The sources lay out a 3-phase system. Phase 1 is preparation, or as they put it, getting ready to fight.
It is a fight, and step 1 is to face the reality, confession and repentance.
Okay, hold on, confession. That sounds like we're in church, not talking about a Visa card. Why is that the first step?
Because you can't fix what you won't acknowledge. Proverbs 28.13 says, whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. The truth is, most people in deep debt are hiding.
Oh, I've been there. You leave the mail on the counter because you don't want to see the bill. You don't tell your spouse how much you actually spent.
That's it. That concealment blocks prosperity. So you have to acknowledge the debt to God, to yourself, and this is the really hard one, to your spouse. There's so much power in just saying, I created this.
Because if you own the problem, you also own the power to fix it.
Exactly. If you're blaming the economy, you're a victim, and victims stay broke.
That's good. Okay, so we've confessed. We've stopped hiding the Amazon boxes. Step 2 is stop the bleeding.
This is the cut the source step.
Yeah.
The analogy is perfect. You cannot drain a bathtub if the faucet is still running.
And the sources get very practical here. This isn't just try to spend less.
No, this is perform plastic surgery, literally. Cut up the credit cards, and I don't mean hide them in a drawer for emergencies. I mean get the scissors.
Right. And in the digital age, that's not even enough. My phone can spend money without the card.
Exactly. So the next layer is you have to delete your saved payment information from Amazon, from Apple Pay, from everywhere.
Ooh, that's painful. That one-click buy now button is just so easy.
It's too easy. You need to add friction back into the process. The rule is simple. No new debt, period. If you can't pay cash, you just don't buy it.
Okay, the faucet is off. Now for the part I think really scares people. Step 3, count the cost.
The inventory. Luke 14.28, right?
Yeah.
Who intends to build a tower without first sitting down and counting the cost? you need a debt list.
And this needs to be detailed, I'm guessing.
Crystal clear. Every single debt. Creditor, total balance, interest rate, minimum payment, and the due date. All on one sheet of paper.
I can just imagine someone listening, seeing that total number at the bottom of the page. It's got to be a punch in the gut.
It usually is. It hurts. But clarity brings power. You can't defeat an enemy you haven't measured. You might find out you owe $42,000. That's a lot, but it's a number. It's not infinity.
I love that. It's not infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're prepped. Phase 2, the attack. This is where we start destroying the debt. Step 4 is a very specific method called the debt snowball.
And this is where I usually get into arguments with the math people.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because the debt snowball method says you list your debts from the smallest balance to the largest balance, and you ignore the interest rate.
Wait, what? Ignore the interest rate. That goes against everything I've ever heard. If I have a $10,000 card at 25% interest and a $500 medical bill at 0, the math says pay the card first.
Mathematically, yes, you are 100% correct. But here's the thing. If you were doing math, you wouldn't be in credit card debt in the first place.
Ouch. Okay, fair point.
Personal finance is like 80% behavior.
Yeah.
The problem isn't the math, it's the motivation. Proverbs 13.12 says, hope deferred makes the heart sick.
So the snowball is about hacking your own brain.
Totally. You attack that $500 medical bill with everything you've got. It's gone in, what, a few weeks? You get a win. You cross it off the list. That little dopamine hit gives you the momentum to go after the next one.
I see. So you take the money you were paying on the first one and just roll it onto the payment for the second one?
And the snowball gets bigger and bigger. You're building the muscle of finishing things. By the time you get to that big student loan, you have so much freed up cash flow that you can attack it with a sledgehammer.
Okay, speaking of sledgehammer, step 5 is attack with intensity. And the sources use this really interesting animal metaphor.
The gazelle. It's from Proverbs 6. It says to free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter.
Okay, just picture that. A gazelle being chased by a cheetah.
It is not grazing. It is running for its life. That is the level of intensity the Bible says we need to get out of debt.
That feels exhausting. Most people treat their debt like a pet they feed every month.
Right. But you have to see it as a hunter that's right behind you.
So what does gazelle intensity actually look like?
It's tactical. It's about finding margin through, well, what the source calls tactical cuts. And honestly, some of these are going to sound miserable.
Give it to us straight.
Cancel all the streaming services.
Yeah.
Cook every single meal at home. No restaurants. No ordering pizza. Sell stuff you don't need on Facebook Marketplace. The source even mentions cutting your own hair.
Cutting your own hair? Okay, that sounds pretty miserable. Is that level of intensity really sustainable?
Well, it's not supposed to be sustainable forever. That's the key. You can't run like a gazelle forever, but you can do it for a season. Would you rather cut your own hair for 18 months or have a car payment for the next 6 years?
When you put it that way. I guess I'm buying some scissors. But you also have to boost the other side of the equation, right? The income.
The hustle. Work overtime.
Yeah.
Drive for Uber. The math here is staggering. Minimum payments, you're looking at 20, maybe 30 years in bondage.
Okay.
But if you go full gazelle intensity, cut everything and work extra, and you find, say, $1,500 a month, you could be free in 2 to 3 years.
That's a huge difference. 2 years of intense sacrifice versus 30 years of stress. It's a prison sentence versus a boot camp.
Your intensity determines your timeline.
Yeah.
You choose.
Now, step 6 brings us back to character. Step 6 is pay faithfully.
This is so important. Psalm 37.21. The wicked borrow and do not repay. You can't get so excited about the snowball that you start skipping payments on the big debts to pay off the small ones.
You can't rob Peter to pay Paul.
No. You maintain your integrity, automate your payments. It's a moral obligation. Your testimony matters.
You know, I'm listening to this, and for the first time, this actually feels doable. It's hard work, for sure, but it feels like a map.
It is. It's not magic. It's a plan.
And if you're listening right now and you're feeling that little spark of hope, maybe for the first time in years, I want to encourage you to subscribe or follow the show.
Yeah, you don't have to walk this road alone.
We're diving into these topics every week. But let me show you what this debt-free life actually looks like. Let's say we've done it. The snowball's rolled through everything. We're debt-free. Are we done?
Not even close. This is where most people fail. They treat it like a crash diet, and they gain all the weight back. Phase 3 is protection. Step 7 is build systems to stay free.
And we swapped the gazelle for a different animal here, right? The ant.
Proverbs 6 again. Go to the ant. It stores its provisions in summer. The ant prepares because it knows winter is always coming.
Winter is coming, the transmission will blow, the roof will leak.
It always does. So you need three walls of protection. First, an emergency fund. You start with a $1,000 baby fund, but once you're debt-free, you build that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses.
That's your shield. So a blown transmission is an inconvenience, not a crisis.
It turns a tragedy into an errand. The second system is the budget. You give every dollar a job before the month begins.
And the third system, this one feels more internal.
Contentment. This is the spiritual defense system. Hebrews 13.5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have.
That's the hardest one, I think. We live on Instagram. I see my neighbor's new truck, my friend's vacation. That keeping up with the Joneses thing is real.
It's the ultimate trap. But the source makes a great point. Gratitude is the defense against debt. If you're grateful for your paid-for Corolla, you won't go into debt for a BMW.
Stop buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't even like.
That's the one.
So, does this actually work in the real world? The sources had a case study, the Martinez family.
Yeah, and this story is so powerful because it's so relatable. They had an income of $58,000 a year,
Okay.
but they had $73,000 in debt. They were mathematically drowning.
Wow. They owed more than they made in a whole year. The stress in that house must have been just awful.
Imagine. But they followed the formula. They sold a car. The husband took a weekend job. The wife sold crafts online. They went all in.
And the result?
Debt-free in 3.5 years.
From $73,000 in the hole to freedom in 3.5 years. That is incredible.
And think about what that freedom looks like. Their paycheck belongs to them again. They can save. They can give generously. The anxiety is gone. The marriage is stronger because the money fights are over.
That's the real why behind all this, isn't it? It's not just about net worth. It's about being free to do what God calls you to do.
You can't do any of that if you have a $500 car payment holding you back.
There was one other thing I wanted to touch on. The story of Peter and the coin in the fish's mouth.
Ah, the miraculous provision.
It's a weird story. Jesus tells him to go fishing, and the first fish has a coin in its mouth to pay the tax.
It is weird, but it teaches a beautiful balance. The coin was a miracle, yes. But Peter still had to go fishing. He had to put in the effort. He had to cast the line.
So obedience first, then provision.
Exactly. We do the natural, the budgeting, the hustle, and we trust God for the supernatural. We can't just wait for the miracle.
So as we wrap this up, it really isn't about how much money you make, is it? The Martinez family didn't make 6 figures.
It's never about the income. I've seen people making $40,000 a year who are free, and people making $250,000 who are completely enslaved. The variable isn't income, it's discipline, it's obedience.
That's the core lesson. Debt freedom is a choice, not a salary bracket.
It's a choice you make every day. Every time you drive past a Starbucks, every time you scroll past an ad, you're choosing freedom or bondage.
So here's our final thought for you to take away. The sources say, start today, not tomorrow. We always think we'll start when we get the raise or after the holidays.
But delayed obedience is still disobedience. So the challenge is simple. Take step 1 this week, not next month. Tonight, sit down, confess the mess, and write the list.
Just the list. Start there. Face the monster in the light. Because if you obey, He provides, and freedom comes. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.